right, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This has been a shit show. Uh, so welcome. This is the JJDL draft recap for your Boston Red Sky. I can't imagine any of you are here from the last time I uploaded, which was I think around 6 years ago when I was strictly doing showdown stuff. Uh, back when I had just kind of gotten burnt out. I got burnt out. Long story short, I got burnt out a long time ago. I played a fuck ton of draft a long time ago, and I loved it, and I still love it, but I just kind of did too much. I was in college, and everything just kind of piled up, and I think I was doing like 8 leagues at a time. I was trying to start uploading and completely failing at being any sort of consistent. And I just got sick of it. I started hating it. I started dreading prepping, and prepping has always been like my favorite part of draft. So I just took the time off. I took, it was like 2 years off, maybe even more. And my first real league back was the John Jr. Draft League, the first season. Spoiler, we ended up winning our division of that season, and we're now back for the third season. We played the second season. We don't talk about the second season. And this is the Wi-Fi division, and I will be uploading all of my matches because, one, it's required, but two, I've been wanting to. And it's been something I've been dying to get into. I've played leagues here and there and just haven't been uploading. It's just been for fun, and this will continue to just be for fun. I'm going to take it seriously, but not try hard seriously, if that makes sense. I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to work my butt off to get better and to continue getting better on Wi-Fi. But, like, I'm not the best, I think. I don't know. We'll see. But long story short, just recording this draft recap on my fucking computer has been horrible. I don't even know if the mic is working properly at this point. I have like 20 different files, all of them are horrible, and I finally got 2 in a row that work. So let's just hope and pray that this is just working. So holy shit, excuse me. You have to cough so hard, like your back cramps a bit. Maybe I'm showing my I'm a builder, spoiler. Cramps when I do anything, but so yeah, this has not been an start recording. Not even mentioning that I tried to record my one match last night, and the file immediately appeared. So that's also fun. Forward to that. So now that you're all here clearly intrigued by me, my name is Gumby. I also do speech, or what you want to call me. I currently have COVID. I'm on 3. I work through it because I work out of my car. It's great. So what is It's the thing that we all should have given up a while ago, but none of us really could. So we found a way to make it competitive because we couldn't really compete anywhere else doing the thing that we love the most. So welcome to Draft League. So I had pick number 9 and it's a snake draft. I know everybody who's watching this was in the JJDL or is, and I shouldn't be like explaining this, but I'm going to, because I feel like I kind of have to. And so it's a snake format, 1 through, I think it was 16. It may have not been 16, it may have been 12. Let me count. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 16. Okay, cool, perfect, 16. I was pick 9, so I was fucking dead in the middle, and I am one of the few people that loves a middle draft position, and that is strictly because you don't have to wait a whole ton of time between your picks. Sure, maybe your drafts aren't as good, and maybe you can't get like synergistic cores like you want to, but like you go like sometime, you make a pick, and then you don't have to wait all that long, and then you make another pick, and you don't have to, like, time zones don't really fuck you up, especially like if it's somebody like right around you, like you know roughly when they're gonna be on, and you never really have to wait too long before your next pick, and I really like that. Sure, my teams are ass most of the time because of it, but like I like it. So we picked Kieran Black. Uh, it's not allowed to Dragon Dance or to Terra. Um, Terra rules were 25 total Terra points. Things had a Terra tax on them, and 25 total, and a lot of like the best things were banned, give or take. Kieran Black was banned for Terra, and it's also banned from Dragon Dancing, but like it gets Scale Shot, it gets Icicle Spear, it gets good moves. I like it. It's the first time I'm getting to use it. It's the first time I've seen it allowed in a draft. I understand that DLC 2 like just came out however long ago. Spoiler, I didn't buy it, but I think it's fucking cool. We got a big boy. Basically, my goal with this draft was, hey, let's pick some fun things, things that I want to try, things that I really haven't gotten to try, and things that I think will also mesh well together. I'm a big proponent of just pick some fucking really good shit and work around it. So that's kind of what I did at the start here. We got Kieran Black. I'm not gonna like go in depth as to how everything works together and stats and shit, but like I think this thing's a pretty awesome first pick. It doesn't get Roost anymore, but like who needs it? It would love it, but like we're fine. And then we end up going with Terra Excadrill. It was not initially a Terramon. I picked my Terramons at the end, but like as soon as I picked it, I was like, I'm pretty sure. The only thing that really would have caught my eye better is if like I ended up getting really scared of setup and I wanted Terra Skeledirge, but like that thing was 20 points with Terra. And like as much as I love Skeledirge, no, not for 20 points. Sorry. But Terra Excadrill, it's free Terra. It's good. What else to say? I loved this thing back in like Gen 8, Gen 7, late Gen 7, Gen 8. Loved this thing. Happy it came back. Happy to use it again. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Also gives me a spinner. I don't care about running spin on this thing. Just getting a speed boost, even if you're already sand rushed, like getting to +3, you can actually outspeed a lot of things that like you might not be able to with just regular sand rush, because I don't like running a lot of speed. Spoiler, I like making my Pokemon really fucking bulky. Even they still hit hard. Clearly these first two hit like trucks. So like being able to make them bulky and still be able to hit hard is really nice. So usually the thing that lacks there is speed. Don't look into that too much. Maybe I'll run max speed, all of my opponents. Then we grab Greninja. Greninja to me is like a fringe round 1 pick. And I ended up grabbing it in round 3. It's just great. It does everything that I want to enable on this team in an incredible way. It also is a slight pain to get with Battle Bond. It's not as bad anymore. The first time I used Greninja and the first time I did anything on Wi-Fi, I didn't know how the fuck to get it with Battle Bond, so I only ran Protean. So we're able to run both. I figured it out. And yeah, so that's just like a huge top 3. Those top 3 are just, to me, they're great. They're all borderline round 1 to fringe round 1 picks, and I'm very happy to have all of them. Clearly, I'm working with the idea that I'm going to pick up Sand for Excadrill. I don't like Sand Drill, spoiler, but I think it's really good to have as an option, and Tyranitar is usually like really good anyway, especially now they got Knock. So I'm kind of thinking throughout the rest of this draft with the idea of I'm getting Tyranitar. So I'm already like super weak to fighting. So I knew after I picked KB round 1 that I wanted my next pick was Slowking, just because Chili Reception into KB is awesome. But then just like on top of the fighting weakness that I'm already building up, it's a really good fighting sponge. I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I got it. I was thinking of picking it before Greninja, but I'm happy that it kind of wrapped back around to me. And yeah, so I'm happy with it. I like it. I like Slowking. It's realistically going to be like the one bulky thing on my team. I am kind of leaning into hyper offense a little bit. I can obviously play this team really bulky if I want. KB, Drill, Greninja not so much, but like three of my top four all have the option to be bulky if I want them to be. Sure, like recovery is a little lacking on KB and Drill, but like we have rest. I'm not afraid to run rest on anything. So, uh, balls in your court. We picked up Iron Moth. I wanted a grounded poison. It was two types. Also, Slowking is not a Terra Cap. It has it over there, but it's not. So nope. Iron Moth, grounded poison gave me two types that I wanted. Can basically like come to every match and just be a solid breaker almost every time. It's really, I think it's with Terra, it's really good. Without Terra, it's slept on. I think it is. It's obviously not as good without Terra. I'm not gonna like say that it's fine without Terra. It prefers it, but I do think that like it's pretty good without it, especially with the team that I'm kind of already like putting around it. Just a lot of breakers, a lot of things that can win in the end game. I think that this thing can play as a late game sweeper with a booster energy. It can play as a mid game or early game breaker with Life Orb. I don't like Life Orb, but like it could be Specs. It could just be Boots. It could just be Boots offensive and just kind of punch holes in teams. It's a really solid mon. And then at this point in the draft, I'm just flying by the swing of my pants or by the seat of my pants. And that's kind of the downside of picking in the middle is I never have a plan. And that's arguably a good thing because if you don't have a plan, you can't get sniped. So really the only thing I was planning was Slowking, and I didn't get sniped. So I didn't get sniped this entire draft. So then I just picked Tyranitar because I was holding up the draft for like an hour. And I was like, I know I'm eventually picking this. Let me just pick it now. Let me get us like a top 6 that can realistically come to every single match this entire season. And now that I have this, I can kind of like fill in gaps and figure out what I want to play as support roles. Now that I have like a solid 6 where like realistically 4 out of these 6 are going to come every week. I won't tell you which 4, but realistically they're all going to come, or they're all going to come to a lot of matches. The roles that they play can vary, and this is kind of giving me a lot of flexibility. Like the only things on this team that really aren't like super flexible are Greninja and Moth, and even then they're flexible in terms of like whether or not they just want to break or whether or not they're going to sweep, and that's enough flexibility for me to think of them in that manner. And then we picked a very early Terra Bramblegast, and I was very happy with this pick. I love Bramblegast. Not as a design or as a Pokemon, and its typing and stats aren't the best, but it just when you put it all together, it's just good enough to where it's easily worth the, I think it was like 4 or 5 points pre-Terra, and then it's 6 points with Terra. This thing is really solid with Terra. It gives me a really solid defensive option. And don't sleep on Terra Ghost Poltergeist. Those actually hit surprisingly hard. It gives me another spinner. It gives me a secondary spike setter. So Greninja's not like, doesn't feel like it's forced into that role. That's the same with like T-Tar and Drill. They're not forced into one Rocks role, one or the other. This is also taking some of the spin like necessities off of Drill, and it's kind of giving me a nice little balance to give me the most options that I can prep. Then we got Rabambi. I think Webs plus KB is a kind of dirty. Just Webs in general this gen are probably really good. Yeah, I don't have like my spin blocker is Bramblegast, but if I can force you to take one turn spinning, that can allow me to get in Drill, Moth, Greninja, KB, just for you to get rid of Webs, like that's, to me, that's a little bit of a win. In certain matchups, it's probably a lot better than in others. I can't see myself bringing Webs every match, but like it's solid. This thing's really good. It's also a setup sweeper, quote unquote. It really doesn't, but it can. I'm not gonna, it can. I swear. And then we picked up Ursaring in the draft. I think I just like breathed super hard on the mic, so sorry. We picked up Ursaring and we ended up trading it out for Alcremie. It gives us a more defensive fairy type. I initially picked up Ursaring because I didn't know what I wanted for my last 2 picks. I knew I was only taking 2 more Pokemon. And I knew I wanted a Hail Abuser. I kind of wanted to be a pseudo double weather with sand and snow. And I knew I wanted some sort of Hail Abuser, but I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do with that. I initially, what I had in mind is what I eventually traded to, but I didn't end up pulling the trigger on those. So I went with Ursaring because, like, Ursaring's super solid. I immediately traded it out for Alcremie because I prefer having a fairy type that, like, is a little bulky and that I'm not, like, forced to Terra into fairy from Bramble or Drill in order to have a fairy type or, like, a slightly reliable fairy type. And it's, like, Alcremie, it's going to come to a few matches. It's not going to be coming to every match. Spoiler, it does not come week 1. But, like, it's not coming to every match, but it doesn't need to. Like I said, after my first 6 picks, these last 4 picks are all going to be just, like, supplementary pieces to my top 6. They don't need to come every week. They don't need to do everything. They just need to do their 1, 2, 3 things the entire season, and they will have been good picks for me. So Alcremie. And then we picked up Ice-Q in the draft and traded it for Alolan Sandslash. And I liked Ice-Q because it was, like, it's really solid. It's, like, there's so many different ways to use it, both defensively and offensively, as long as you're creative enough. And I do think that I am creative enough to use it. I just think that being able to pick up Alcremie and then getting a better Hail Sweeper in Alolan Sandslash gives me a little bit more immediate threat. Like, it poses a more immediate threat in prep, which is something that I think I can take advantage of. It also gives me another Spike Setter. It gives me, I think it gets rocks, but it gives me another spinner. And I now have 3 spinners, all of which can come to some matchups. Drill isn't going to feel forced to spin when I have Bramble and when I have Alolan Sandslash, as long as I can fit them on the team. And Sandslash in Snow is solid. It's not great. It's not going to blow you away. It is still a Sandslash, but it's good enough. That's also why I went with Bramblecast as my Terra Cap instead of the Alolan Sandslash. Alolan Sandslash just doesn't do enough damage. Like, even +2 with a Life Orb with Terra, it just doesn't do a lot. And, like, I'd prefer to just have it as, like, an immediate breaker if I need it to be or want it to be, but also just having the support role of spin, spikes that I would want it for. And, like, that's the team. I'm pretty happy with it. Used up all our points, I'm pretty sure. Not that matters. But there's some weaknesses, but, like, nothing that isn't just, like, played around. And, like, with a hyper offensive playstyle, it's hard to kind of play against, I think, in terms of, like, taking advantage of weaknesses, especially when I do have, like, solid checks to those weaknesses, assuming I bring them. But we'll see. I think it's going to be a fun season. This entire season is going to be a slow, gradual step towards getting better at it. Not just playing, but getting better at making videos for this shit. This is going to be a scuffed draft analysis, and week 1 is going to be arguably more scuffed. So we're just going to see hopefully we just see it gradually getting better. One step at a time, we're just going to make little things, everything just a little bit better. And by the end, you'll be like, is this the same guy? And it's like, yeah, clearly. He swears every 3 words. And for coming by.